Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are gonna get a very nice hour of some improvised live looping, vocals only. That's what you're hearing right now. This is the foundations of a beat made strictly from vocals. Gonna be building up this beat some more. Gonna be keeping it all vocals is gonna be great. In addition to this looper stuff, we're also going to bring in the synth. We might even have conversations and talk about stuff. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in this studio session? It is called Tanker Time. My regulars know what it is. Speaking of my regulars, we have with us in the place already ready to go. It is the man himself. He goes by none other than River. And we have got everyone's dearest friend, Thomas has some very nice chats that span multiple chats and have a very nice shout out. Thomas is amazing. There's already some very nice community building and connecting going on in the chat. And then it got better because has entered the chat. As has Black If you are new, if you are new to the Reconsider It live streams, welcome! You made the right decision joining us. We want you here. Friends, right now we are in a warm-up phase. We are just getting the blood flowing. We are just getting ourselves situated. Getting acclimated and ready for this very exciting Tinker Time stream that we will do together presently. And in this warm-up phase, I need to celebrate. You. Thank you for being here. I'm going to celebrate you at this time in this way. Whether you are here with us live in the chat, whether you are here with us live but you are not in the chat, whether you are here with us after the live you are watching on replay, however it is that you are here with us, thank you for being here. I am going to celebrate you at this time in this way. I have got my drink. I am going to count to 3 and I am going to clink. You are invited to join the rest of us as we cheers along and celebrate our togetherfulness. And friends, my dearest, closest friends, it all begins, all of it all begins on one. But it quickly escalates, friends, to two. And you know the arithmetic progression on which we are traipsing. And it goes to clink. Cheers, my friends. Man, that is good. I am just filled with so much happiness and things that are good and I enjoy and I like, and I just have all these good feelings. And at this time, my friends, I feel so good with you. I love doing this with you. I love connecting with you in this way. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Please share this video where it will be well received. Speaking of being well received, things and or people, entities that are well received, Victor! And also our friend Izuku! Do we dare hope that we have exactly the one, dare we hope that it be, should I look in the chat in hope that we might find, friends, we have got a Tinker stream on our hands. This is really good. What a good thing we are now going to share over the next hour or whatever. Start building up some beats here. I'm going to start with some percussion, as I often do. Thomas wins. If you're waiting for news on that, you're waiting for an update on who won this stream. Thomas wins. The first comment to be pinned to the screen. Gently jumpy music. I am a fan of this description. And of the music, to be clear. Right now, Probes has asked what will become, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a long discussion. I mean, it could be. But this will be a non-trivial thing that I'm about to say right now. This is the first time I'm saying this on a live stream. So Probes is asking about a DAW. In either one of my most recent 1 or 2 live streams, I forget which one, I was talking about how I'm trying to use a DAW. I installed a new DAW, by the way, DAW, D-A-W, Digital Audio Workstation. So it's like, right now I'm using only hardware to make music. This is a so-called DAW-less. There's no digital audio workstation, there's no computer. I'm just using my loopers, and in a little while I'm going to start using the synth, and I'm using a microphone, and I'm using a mixer that's off camera and you can't see it. But I'm not like, I don't have a piece of software up on a monitor. That would be a DAW. So I'm doing DAW-less. I've been doing DAW-less hardware jams for a couple years now, I guess. But because of a new inspiration I got, I had a need to compose, to like have the ability to draw out melodies, and I was not confident in my ability to just play the melodies directly on the keyboard live. So I needed some kind of software of some sort. I needed some kind of DAW. And this is what we were talking about in either the most recent stream or 2 streams ago. And this is what Probes is talking about. The good news is, did the DAW thing work out? I installed a new DAW, but I was having some audio issues with it. It wasn't playing anything back. You know, I could arrange my music samples, I could start composing, but no audio was coming through the speakers. You could see the levels going up in the mixer, but there's no audio coming through. And so that's what I was talking about in the most recent stream or 2. It did work out. I got it working out as of last night. I got it pretty consistent. I think I know how to keep it working at this point. Question mark. And it's pretty good, actually. The DAW is called Ardor, A-R-D-O-U-R. Probe says he was talking about my most recent post. Yeah. That in my Discord. That's another avenue to have gotten to this. But I did talk about it on the most recent stream too. Or 2 ago or whatever it was. Anyway, the DAW situation did work out. So, what now I know Probes was talking about in my Discord, what I said was, because I have this new DAW, I've been having a good experience with it. Last night I was like 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours straight. I was just like, you know, fastidiously and with great concentration, I was doing a lot of music stuff. And I got a lot done. There's still a fair amount more to go, but I figured out a lot of the base of the song, and I have a sense of where things are going to go. And anyway, since I was having such a good time, since I spent 3 or 4 hours on it, what I said in Discord, finally to get what Probes was really talking about, what I said was that I might stream that. Just like right now I'm streaming my loopers, and I do this like Tinker Time session where it's the looping and the keyboards and we talk about stuff. Cool, that's Tinker Time. That's one kind of stream. I was saying that I might try doing another kind of stream, which is me using that DAW. So the DAW itself is working, I think. You know, so far it seems to be consistently working. So the next challenge would be, how do I stream that exactly? And also give you good audio on the mic. Because I can run the audio through just what's running through my computer. But what do I do for camera and mic? Since I have a different setup for this stream. I wouldn't be using this microphone and this mixer. So I don't know. That's one thing I have to think about and or figure out before I start streaming a DAW. But yes, that is something that might happen. I would like to do that if I can figure out the camera and audio situation so that I can talk. I guess I don't strictly need a camera, but I would like to be able to do that. I would like to give you a face to the voice. So that might be coming. I don't have any commitment to specific timelines on that, because I don't know what I would do for the mic and the camera, like I said. I could just use my computer microphone. Maybe I need to just get a digital microphone that I can use. Actually, you know what? I do have an idea. I do have one idea. Okay, I think I might have just solved the issue of the mic. So we're slightly closer to me streaming myself using a DAW. Thanks for asking, Probes. That made me think through that. I think I might... Here's what I have. I have something that I can test. So I'll test that. And if it goes well, then perhaps... I don't know. I still don't want to do a specific timeline. I guess here's something I'll ask your feedback on. This goes certainly for Probes, since Probes, you brought this up. But this is a general question for just anyone, for you, whether you are Probes or not. It's for you, this question. Do you want to see me just working in a DAW? It would be a lot of like listening to the same thing over and over and go back and listen to it again. And then I'm going to make this little micro change. Did that change anything? Here, let me make this little like minute change in the compressor that you barely even notice. Let me play this one spot over and over in a loop. And I'll comment and stuff. If this potential solution I have works out for a microphone and camera, actually. Probe says he's heard of Ardor but never used it. Now that I've figured out like some basics of it, it's, you know, similar to other DAWs you may have used. It's got a mixer and it's got different channels where you could load wave files that you prepared and use them as loops, or you could compose something in a synth in a different layer and so on. I had an issue using the synth because I've never had to use, how do I say this? Of the times that I've used synths in DAWs, they've come pretty much just plug and play, just start using it. For this one, I had to set up a bunch of plugins, and I've never used plugins before. But now I'm using plugins. Am I gonna become some kind of plugin junkie? I get this plugin and that plugin and this one and that one and then look at this plugins. I'm gonna put some plugins. Oh, get some plugins. Maybe, I don't know. Now that I understand what plugins are, which is basically just like a little module to run your song through, or to run an instrument through. At least that's how I'm experiencing it. Maybe that's too narrow of a definition, as far as I know. But if I do understand plugins right, I can totally see why, you know, like, oh, I'll put like 17 plugins on this. That's what I do. I put all sorts of effects on things. River says, oh, I see Ardor is open source. Yes, it is. It's freeware. You know. Way more complicated than Audacity. You know, everybody knows Audacity. If you don't know Audacity, that's an open source freeware, basically like audio recording software. It doesn't give you enough to be a producer, really. But you can record, you know, a voiceover and edit it down. I use Audacity for editing single tracks. So yeah, you might get the opportunity to see me working extremely repetitively in a DAW. Man, it felt great. This is what I kind of want to talk about. There was a couple things I wanted to bring up today, actually, on this Tinker stream. Some of them are written down so that I have the list there. But one of them was my experience with this DAW. It's been a while since I wrote a song in a DAW. I mean, like 10 years, 15 years. I'm not sure exactly. But it was awesome. It was like picking up an old art that I forgot I knew how to do. I guess the whole like riding a bike cliche that, you know, even if it's been mad years, since you rode a bike, you could still get on a bike and ride it pretty quickly and get that back. Something like that was happening with this DAW. And I was just so in it. It's like 3 or 4 hours. It's great. Like I said, I figured out a lot of this song. The song I'm working on is a reflection of this recent inspiration I got. I forget if I shared this on a stream. But what you're looking at here is 3 octaves on a keyboard. And in each of the keys, you can see in both directions, up and down, each key is assigned a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. My regulars know that I'm a student of the Holy Torah, so I study Torah on a daily basis. Usually a couple hours every day is dedicated to Torah study. Sometimes, you know, it can waver. But anyway, a couple days ago, probably less than a week ago. No, actually, I take that back. This was a little over a week ago. I have some time markers that I'm using for that. A little over a week ago, I got this inspiration. And so the reason I got this inspiration is that I saw something about some post on Instagram. I follow a lot of math pages on Instagram. I actually just started following a few more that are like quick math puzzles, little geometry puzzles and things of varying levels of difficulty, which is cool. I find that I like these little, you know, not always, sometimes they're easy, but not always easy. But just like scrolling through, oh wait, hold on, I gotta use my brain for a second. It's actually been a pretty good move, just like within the past maybe 2 days, 3 days maybe. I started following a few of those. Anyway, on some Instagram page or something, I saw the old approximation of pi, 22/7, which you may have seen before. That was like however many centuries or millennia ago, old mathematicians were trying to approximate pi. And 22/7 is the one that's like probably the earliest rational approximation of pi. Maybe not, I don't know. I don't claim to be a math historian. Anyway, 22/7. Now it so happens there are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. So that stood out to me. I was like, oh, 22/7. Okay, 22. 22 letters. Okay, interesting. I wonder if the 7. Hey, wait, 7. Not only is 7 a significant number in Torah for a number of reasons, such as the 7 days of creation and thus 7 days of the week and all this, a number of other things. But furthermore, 7 is how many keys are in an octave. So that's why I did this exercise where I mapped the alphabet, or the alphabet, I should say, actually. Mapped the alphabet to 3 octaves. It fits perfectly. Fits perfectly in 3 octaves, going up and going down. And so my new project that I'm working on right now that I needed a DAW for is that I'm taking, or at least this time, I took a verse, or this is actually 3 verses. This is 3 verses from, I believe this is last week's portion. Yeah, this is last week's portion. Last, Tuesday or Wednesday or something. This was part of the portion. And so what I'm doing now is I'm writing out a melody that's based on the letters. So here's the portion, or the verses rather. There you go. How's that? Almost. Yeah, here we go. So each of those letters is now getting mapped to a key or a tone, maybe a note. Let's say each letter is getting mapped to a note, and then it's making this melody. Now I am taking great creative freedom and liberty with how I use the timing of the melodies and the like how long each note is lengthened and stretched out for and all of that. So that's where the artistry is coming in. And I'm also adding harmonies and such, which is kind of interesting because the other notes also correspond to other letters. And if you happen to see this on the left, I have it all condensed down into a single octave. So that's interesting. I don't know what kinds of interesting patterns I will yet find through that. But that's effectively what I'm doing. I'm like pulling in the same note on different octaves. Anyway, so this is what I'm working on right now. This is the song I'm working on. And that's what I'd be pulling up on the DAW. There's those 3 verses. I already finished the first verse. It's like 2 minutes into the song right now. So now I'm expecting that I'm going to complete those 3 verses. It's possible though that I would stop at this verse because it takes up a pretty decent chunk of melody. Oh, and by the way, I should add, this part's also relevant, that I'm not just doing that melody over nothing. I'm using the loops from a stream. I think it's F sharp, the tone, or the key rather. So one of my streams that was an F sharp in the past, I don't even know. This one might have come from as far back as September or August. I don't remember exactly. But it's over a beat. So I'm like arranging the beat in addition to this melody that's playing over the dynamic arrangement of the beat. So it's pretty cool. It's working out pretty well so far. So anyway, what I'm saying is my question now is, do I make this as it is now, just one verse? And if so, you know, I'll probably add a little more to round out the song. The song will probably come to like 3 minutes and change. Or do I want to go all out and do the remainder of these 3 verses, which are just 3 verses, like I said, that are from last week's portion that just stood out to me, these 3. I was like, whoa. That's generally what happens. That's a big part of, I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. That is a big tangible, obvious benefit I reap from my daily study of the Holy Torah, is that I have all these like epiphanies, or I experience all this like, you know, the lights turning on in my life and such, seeing parallels everywhere with everything in a guided manner that has an unbroken track record of endless success. Victor gets the next. Dang. I have some bad news. I was about to turn over here to my workstation so that I could put one of Victor's chats onto the screen, which I'll do now. Live chat is the best chat. I'm gonna agree with that. bad news is as I turned to go do that, I stepped on a saltine. Look at this. This is just the most tragic tragedy that had ever traged. But even though I stand by what I said, that was the most tragic tragedy that has ever traged, as you know, it's almost like there's this mystical compensation for that tragedy, because we are so blessed that war has joined us, which is a blessing. I see there's some cool discussion around musical scales. Warheart says 7 notes in the Western key structure, 12 notes in a Western scale. Is that a coincidence? No, like all that stuff, everything about our world, fundamental structures that a lot of people just assume and take for granted. Like, why do we have, 7 notes in a music key? Why is there 7 days in a week? These things don't seem to have a clear reason in the, based in obvious material realm thinking. But those things are not arbitrary. Because just like there's laws of, I guess you could say like laws of physics, the material world operates according to certain laws, or what are you going to say beside laws? It's not principles, because there's a strictness. Like gravity works in a certain way. The end. I don't know, the way friction interacts with a rolling object and eventually slows down, and all of this. Those are strict rules and laws that are knowable, and you can build upon them and all this. They're sort of immutable aspects of reality. I forget what I was saying. I stepped on more of that cracker. There's still some leftover crumbs down there. And I was like, I kind of... So I had to clean that up. Oh, right. The material world. Physics. It's sort of like obvious in observation. Objectively, any arbitrary 2 people will agree. Yes, gravity works this way. Or whatever law of physics the water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. However you want to approach whatever law, even chemistry, stuff like that. But observe that there's more than just that. There's more than just the physical material universe, as I often talk about on these streams, which, by the way, is going to bring me to the next thing I want to bring up, which is a tentative list of topics I've slapped together for just sort of like repeatedly discussing on Tinker Time streams, ranging from like fun cultural things to this sort of stuff, like, the material realm is not the only realm of existence. There's other realms beyond that. No. So So stuff like that. But beyond the material realm is just realms that we don't have sensory organs for. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And those other realms have physics also. Just like, the material physics we know and everything else I was saying, chemistry. These other realms that we don't have direct sense organs for, they also have physics and so on. And that's just as objective. There is more than the physical realm. There is more than the material realm. There is more than what we can directly perceive in real time through our senses. So I guess that can bring me to my list of topics. But before I do that, I want to record my final loop layer here. Get that in the mix for flipping on and off. Let's do that. Let's do that, friends. So I mentioned to you that I had 3 things I wanted to bring up on the stream today. One of them was the fact that I'm using this DAW to write this song. I'm having a good time with the DAW. I might stream using a DAW. That was one thing I wanted to bring up, and we talked about that already. I also said that I have put together my, maybe, I can't even call this the first draft of a list. This is just like the first few thoughts I wrote down. This is not a full draft, but it's not a short list. So again, this is the list. This is my list so far. By the way, please like this video. This list is just some thoughts that came to me so far. For topics to, like, not necessarily cycle through, but topics that are just like, yeah, these are the things we talk about on Tinker Time. And at any given stream, I may or may not bring up any one of these topics. So here's my tentative list. I'm gonna read it off. And for my friends who are here live in the chat, I'll be interested in whatever your thoughts are about any part of these. If you're joining us after the stream, I'll still be interested in what you say to this list. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. So let me see here. Where's my list? Here is my list. Okay, so one of them is the Holy Torah, which I just brought up a minute ago. Okay, so you know that one already. Another thing on my list here is our community of musicians on YouTube who live stream, and like we all hang out with each other and listen to each other's stuff and everything. So I've brought this up before, but I'm interested in how there's a lot of people from my generation, plus or minus however many years, who were very, I don't know what you say, like music meant a lot to us. And it used to be the case that like going to live shows was cool. And did you get the latest album by whatever artist that we both like and we bonded over? Did you see that new music video? Like, there's a lot of people from my demographic, let's say, and many of us in our YouTube community are like this, where we just always kind of looked up to music and wanted to be part of it. And yet now, in the modern day, here in 2026, music is just really not a thing. Music is very, I don't know, not blasé, but it's like a commodity. Yeah, there are still music artists. Yeah, it's still cool, but it's not like this huge... I forget how someone put it. This, like, cultural bonding something or other. It's not as much of a central thing as it was. And so we, in the demographic I'm alluding to, that I identify with, we are kind of like adrift, starving to death. So that's a topic on my list. This idea of this, I don't know, would you say generation of musicians who find themselves in a space where their craft is not really, I guess, valued like when they began their journey. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. There are those of us who began our music journey with music being held in a very different esteem culturally around us. That's where we began our music journey. And yet here we are, and we find ourselves in the middle of a music journey that is just like not really valued. We invested all of this time, and it doesn't really, I don't know. So that's another topic on my list. This whole, like, music is not a thing like it once was. You know, I think the truth on that topic, I think the truth is that in the 60s, maybe as far back as the 50s, but let's say at least the 60s, music had this, like, gigantic impact when everybody was, you know, a hippie. And that's when music was like the giganticest thing, and it was used as a, it was infiltrated, let's say, as a social control medium, so it got a lot of support and attention. And it stayed that way for a few decades, through the 90s. And then after the 90s is when music just, you know, stopped being a cool or important or significant thing culturally. And now it's back to what it was before the 60s, I imagine. Where it's like music is kind of niche. It never really was. The 60s through the 90s was an anomaly. That's what I'm trying to say here. It was an anomaly in the 60s and 90s for music to be this big thing. Ordinarily, music is like, okay, it's just sort of a functional thing that exists. So that's a topic on my bullet list here. Other topics include comic books, which I like a lot. Although there's usually not a lot of discussion that goes on in the live chat about comics. Sometimes there is. But that's a topic I like, and I would be happy to talk about if there is any mutual interest in that. Another topic on my list here of things to just kind of repeatedly revisit, maybe even use as some sort of like commentary lens, is my professional skills of being a public speaker, communicator, educator, coaching other people to do that. I'm highly experienced and accomplished in my field, and I know a lot, and I can help you. So that's something that I also might revisit on live streams as a topic. Other things include more social commentary, like how in at least American culture, I think the truth is that this extends beyond American culture, this thing I'm about to say, but I'm only making a comment about American culture right now. American culture in the past however many years, maybe the past like 10 years or so, it has developed this highly accusatory judgment from a distance before you walk a mile in a man's shoes. That's pretty nice. You know, this like judge everything about you from not enough information, and I'm gonna assert that I know what your motivations were, and here's what you were really thinking, and you're one of them in this category that we hate. All of that stuff. My point that I wanted to bring up that's on my list is just the idea that you cannot read someone's mind. That's a hard stop. You can guess correctly, but that doesn't mean you knew. It means you guessed, and you were right. You coincidentally, your guess was correct. Maybe it was an educated guess, maybe anything. Maybe you know the person really, really, really well. You've known the person for 50 years, and they've told you their own thought process and everything. You still don't know what they're thinking when you're interacting with them. It's an illusion. You might be experiencing a probability. You might be feeling a probability, but you don't know. It's not a visible thing. It's not visible like in the way that if you look at something on the wall, you can see it. It's like it's directly there. Or you can hear something. Those are direct perceptions. Another person's thoughts is not within your direct perceptions. And that's the topic that's on my list here. Just something that's like, hey, can we get past this culturally? It's not cool to have this like, I'll tell you what your thoughts were, which is something I observe and experience, unfortunately. I see there's some chat for me to get caught up on as I read you this list. What should I do first? Should I finish the list or should I get caught up on the chat? There's not much more on the list, so I'm going to finish the list and then I'm going to get caught up on the chat. In the list, I also want to bring up the topic of social programming or social engineering. You know, it's pretty naive to think that cultural events, historical events, who is in power at any given time, cultural movements, any of these things. It's pretty naive to think that that's all organic. It's all just happening on its own spontaneously. That's pretty silly, pretty naive. Now, if you wanted to push back and say it would be really paranoid to say that it's, you know, every single thing that happens in the public domain is somehow staged by some secret cabal, that's overly paranoid. I would say, yeah, that's also true. I mean, I agree with that too. I agree that the extremes are both dumb in this case. What I'm saying is that the public domain is some unknown mixture, a mixture of unknown proportions of things that do happen spontaneously and organically and genuinely and sincerely. Just sincere social movements or whatever, you know, some genuinely spontaneous event that happened and wasn't planned. Those things do happen. And there are also things that are done specifically for social engineering purposes. Like, this needs to be a topic of conversation. This can't be relegated to, I guess, conspiracy theorist territory. This is real stuff. And you know, a lot of my profession, where I do public speaking and I do education, I know how minds work. And I know for example, there's a difference. What I'm about to say right now is obvious to people who do any kind of public speaking or who manage a group of people in some way. This next thing I'm going to say is very obvious if you've had that kind of experience. But if you haven't had this kind of experience, you might not know what I'm about to say. You'll be like, what? What are you talking about? But there is a difference psychologically. There is a difference between if someone is listening to you talk one-on-one versus if they're listening to you talk in a group setting. Their mind functions differently. People think differently when it's one-on-one versus when it's in a group. And the more, the greater number of people who are part of the group that they're in, the lower the probability of their individual participation. Not that it's impossible, but the majority of the time, the majority of the people are just going to kind of go along with whatever is around them. But furthermore, that impacts the way that they receive information, the way that they process information, the way that they take perspective on things. This is all obvious if you interact with groups of people. Not everybody has the privilege to do that. So if you've not done that, then this might not be obvious to you. Anyway, my point is, as a professional in those areas, I am ready to testify and also even talk about the physics of how that works. Like, there is such a thing as an effective way to talk to people versus an ineffective way. And we can sit here and talk about style, personal flair and whatever. That's cool. And there is also such a thing as effective versus ineffective. Like, there is technique. There is physics, quote unquote, to mass communication. And I'm sitting here, I'm some random YouTuber. I'm some random musician farting around with some live looping right here. And I happen to be a professional expert in my specific area. And I can sit here and I can talk to you about effective ways to talk to a group of people, to make them do this or to make them not do that. Like, there's techniques to this stuff. Interact with them like this if you want them to feel this way. Use strings of words like this if you want them to think certain things or you want them to arrive at certain conclusions. There's a whole science behind this. This is not part of the public discussion, though. And so on my list of things to talk about is this topic. It's like this needs to be part of public discussion. The idea that there is the ability to do social engineering. Our rulers have the means by which to broadcast the appropriate influences, which is not just like headlines, but includes that. Also includes social media and like fake accounts on social media that are either just bots, they're not anything, they're not people, or they are people who are paid agitators, or they are people who are like part of some kind of what do they call it, a psyop. I mean, these things are actually real. This is not conspiracy theorist. This is actual real stuff. And it's obvious. If a musician is at the let's say at the crosswalk, and you see a walking sign, and then it starts blinking. That it's blinking red, so it's gonna say stop soon. You often hear like a little ticking, or you're at a stoplight and you have your turn signal on, and the person in front of you has their turn signal on, and you notice how the blinkers go in and out of period. They in and out of their frequencies. They sort of sync up and then they fall out of sync and all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is more obvious to you if you spend your time with rhythms as a musician, for example. What you spend your time with becomes, let's say, like second nature filter to you. And it informs how you perceive things, how you prioritize things, what you think is significant versus not significant, and what the meaning of it is. And so I'm just saying that all of this social engineering stuff that I'm talking about, it's really obvious if you have those skills yourself. It's so obvious when it's like, look how they organize this string of news stories. Look how they worded that headline. Look what they did not say. It's so obvious how there's messages being sent to people in the general population. And to people who are like spending a lot of conscious effort looking at it, it's not as influential over them. It's still influential, but not as influential. But for people who are like half paying attention, or people who are they're caught up in like all of social justice, social movements, and all of this. And there's an emotional charge. When there's an emotional charge, or when the person is distracted, they're really focused on their life, they're not really paying attention to current events, they're focused on their life. So someone who's distracted and someone who's emotionally charged, those are two categories of people who are easy to influence. And our overlords know this. I'm some nobody YouTuber who can just fart around about it. You think the most sophisticated people on Earth don't have like way more sophisticated skill set at doing this than I do? Let's see how big my YouTube channel gets. Should I start, you know, intentionally doing some kind of influence campaign? Should I start doing techniques and things so that I don't know, I can just like show you how it's done? So anyway, social programming. That is real. It needs to be part of non-paranoid discourse. Because you could definitely, it's easy to get paranoid in that space. I'm not claiming that there is no paranoia. I'm just saying that there is reality to this social programming stuff. It is real, and I think you're being naive and silly if you deny it. Unless you're like 12. If you're 12, then you don't even see this stuff yet. And that's fine. But if you're an adult, let's say if you're in like, I don't know, your 40s at least. If you're in your 40s or older, and you deny that there is such a thing as social engineering and, you know, media down brainwashing, if you deny that there's any of that, you're like, no way, there's not a trace of any of that. No one anywhere is doing that. That's come on. Oh my goodness. The next bullet, this one is going to make some people mad. I hesitate to even say this one, but I have to say it. I have to say it. Because there's some people who are going to be really happy that I say this. There's going to be some people who are going to be like, oh, you're speaking for me. And those people are the reason I'm saying this. Not everybody likes dogs. I said it. Not everybody likes dogs. Not everybody likes your dog. For some people, dogs are a big problem. And I have observed, at least in American culture, that in the past however many years, there's been a very noticeable and steep increase in dog ownership. And maybe it was during the pandemic or something that it increased. I'm not sure exactly. But in this enthusiasm over dogs, I have also noticed a very not okay attitude, which is why I'm talking about this, which is basically like, I don't understand people who don't like dogs. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with you if you don't like dogs. I don't trust you as a person. I don't trust your character. It's like, no. Some people don't like dogs. I have a sensory processing issue. I have sensory processing issues in general. But I have an auditory processing issue where, you know, effectively I can't block things out. That's the short version of it. So like everything all the time is affecting me. It was only a few years ago that I learned that not everybody experiences that. Anyway, but I do. And so a loud dog, for example, is very irritating to me. And if you get to the point of howling or aggressively barking, like a dog that is barking at me, not just barking, but it's barking at me, that can really start to upset me even emotionally. It's pretty intense. And I have been in positions where I'm, somehow called a villain. This is hyperbole. I'm painted in a bad light because I complain about that. And I say, hey, please keep your dog quiet. And I'm somehow a jerk. It's like, what? No, I'm going to put an end to this whole perspective. It is not reasonable for anyone to think that their dog being, loud and obnoxious and jumping all over the place, that's fine. It's fine. And you should completely put up with it. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous expectation. Yeah, it's just barking and howling at you for 10 straight minutes because you used your front door, and you get aggressively howled at for 10 straight minutes. Why don't you just put up with that? That's ridiculous. That's an absolutely ridiculous attitude. And so that's on my list as well, as something to talk about, as just an ongoing, like, hey, what kind of perspective do you hear on the Tinker Time streams? You're hanging out with Recon. What does he talk about? Well, man, he thinks it's silly that people think that you should put up with their dogs. That's one of his topics. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying I have a problem with dogs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying some people do have a problem with dogs. I personally have a problem with the sounds, and if they're, all like jumping all over me, it's like, no, you get out of my face. I don't want you touching me. But if they're sort of minding their business, just pretty quiet, or, ideally totally quiet, I don't want to hear any barking and whining. Shut up. That's how I feel toward that. It irritates me significantly. If you're not familiar with the term misophonia, that's something I experience. And dog noises is one of the things that upsets my misophonia. Other things too, like mouth noises. That stuff, I can't stand that. And frankly, I'm going to make a statement right now. I forget if I said this on previous streams before, but I'm going to say something right now to the people who are live streamers or, podcasters or whatever you are. If you are making mouth noises on a microphone, you are messing up. That is poor technique. You are turning off a large part of your audience. By the way, even the people who are not largely turned off like I'm describing, for the other people, it's just annoying. So you should stop that. There are some streamers who I observe who will do that. They'll chew gum on the microphone. Stop that. Stop that. I'm speaking to you as someone with professional expertise in speaking. Stop that. Don't do that. That's, you're messing up hardcore. That's very bad technique. Don't make mouth noises to the best of your ability. I mean, inevitably you have some this or that. But I'm talking to every time you talk, there's lip smacking and you're chewing gum and all this. You gotta stop that. You're putting an artificial limit on yourself when you do that. Just your own success is negatively impacted by that. Anyway, other things on my list here. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I actually added this next one today. There's only 2 more items left, and then I'm going to go to the chat. I added this one today because I overheard some coworkers talking about Girl Scout cookies. Someone was going to buy some Girl Scout cookies or something. If you don't know what Girl Scout cookies are, there's this thing called the Girl Scouts, and I don't really know anything about it, but it's for little girls, and they, I don't even know what they do. What do the Girl Scouts do? one of the things they generally do is every year at some, I guess this time of year, is it Girl Scout cookie time of year? Is it Girl Scout cookie season? But they sell a box of like, what, 20 cookies or something? And they have a little charm to them. You know, the Girl Scout cookies do have a unique charm to them. Get a mint or a peanut butter or whatever you get. But it's mostly about supporting the Girl Scouts. That's what it's really about. And so anyway, I was overhearing some coworkers today talking about that. By the way, even though I'm looking at my list here and my list of topics, I did glance at the chat and I noticed Traitor to the living has joined us, which is really dope. Anyway, so the Girl Scout cookies, and that made me think of, you know, it's kind of a cliche starting point what I'm going to say, but you know, let's elaborate on it. That's why I have it on the list. But it's unfortunate because my coworker, who is, I don't know, what, 30s, 40s, however old they are, one coworker's talking to the other one, and you know, coworker A is like, hey, my daughter is selling Girl Scout cookies. Coworker B is like, oh, I'll take a box, or whatever they're saying. But what is this teaching the Girl Scout selling the cookies? She's not doing the selling. It used to be that they had to walk door to door, maybe not had to, quote unquote, but that they would. They would walk door to door, house to house, and say, hey, we're trying to raise money for the Girl Scouts. We have some cookies. Will you please support the Girl Scouts and buy our Girl Scout cookies? And it'd always be like, oh, sure, let me go get, you know, $7,000 for 5 cookies. But back in that situation, if the girl is walking door to door and selling the cookies, she's learning something about, you know, sales technique. She's learning something about, I don't know, presumably they're doing it in a group of people. So she probably had to network with a few other Girl Scouts and probably, you know, some chaperone. So she's learning something about teamwork. She's doing it, and she's learning some, and she earns some money from it. I don't know. I don't know if they got any money in their pocket from that, but anyway, my point is that was decades ago. That was like way back in the day, the 80s, the 70s, or whatever that was. But nowadays, it's just like the girl could just sit on her phone doing nothing while her parents go and sell these boxes for her. It's like, that's not... Maybe I should add this to the list. People don't seem to understand that child rearing is not automated. Like you can't just be like, oh, this child will grow and have common sense, and it'll just happen. They'll just get common sense. They're gonna get common sense because common sense will just fall on them. They'll be living their life and they'll just have common sense. It's like nothing like that is true. Nothing like that is accurate. A person has their own individual experiences that program them and inform them with what they believe reality is, and it's completely unique per individual. And as the internet and social media emerged, humans in general are going through a much more intensification of individuality. And I forget where I was going with that. Oh, the idea that like, as these girls have their parents go sell the boxes for them, they're not learning anything other than the way to succeed in life is to just sit around and have other people do things for you, which is a very bad lesson to teach a growing soul. So that's on my list there. The idea of like what you imprint upon an impressionable youth informs their lens through which they interpret their experience in life and reality. So that's another bullet on my list. And then the final bullet here is one that I've talked about a number of times, which is how you have something like a biological time machine in the fact that you are capable of stepping out of the present moment. Like that's all that really exists here in the physical universe. This realm where you can sense things, you can hear things, and you see things, and you can touch things. This material world, there's only the present moment. There is no past material. It doesn't exist. There is no future in the material world. There's only the present moment, which is moving forward at very, very fast speeds. I forget the name for whatever the smallest unit of time is. Whatever that's called in discrete moments, but it's very, very fast. So all that really exists in any material, tangible sense is the present moment and what you're experiencing with your senses. And yet, somehow, this is really bizarre. This is a very, very bizarre thing, but we act like it's ordinary. Somehow, you are able to step out of the present moment in your mind. In your mind, you can somehow move out of what your physical body is experiencing, and you can remember stuff. You can recall something. You can replay something you experienced. And you can also imagine into the future. You can anticipate. You can be creative and make something that doesn't already exist. This is really weird. How are you doing that? How is it that you're able to just, in your perception, in your mind, in your sense of what's real, you're able to just sort of like go into the past? Like, what? How are you doing that? So that's another topic on my list here. It's a very, very, if we are just physical beings, that doesn't make any sense at all. If we're just physical beings made of material, it doesn't make any sense at all that you can remember things, or that you can imagine the future, or you can be creative, or you can exist in like an abstract space where you're thinking about something without necessarily tying into a, occurrence. You can think of math. Like, what is going on? What is this other realm or region outside of the material world where you can just go at will? You have some kind of biological time machine. And that is another topic on my list here of just general things to talk about. So that was, I don't know how long it was that I was talking about all that, but it was quite a while. So I'm going to get caught up on the chat here. Going back to the topic of music, this is from like 300 years ago. Oh my goodness, this is like 45 minutes ago almost. Not quite, 35 minutes ago. When I was talking about music, and how music isn't really a thing culturally like it used to be. There are still people who love music. It's just not like this widespread, everybody loves it like it used to be. On that topic, Thomas says, he's like, no, man, full albums and live performances, I still love it. That's my thing. That's the thing. Probe says, still on the topic of music from like 45 minutes ago almost. Probe says, yes, I also observe that people in general don't listen to entire albums anymore. Sometimes not even entire songs. Yeah, that's true. On YouTube in particular, yeah, if you look at your duration, it's not the full length of the video. A lot of people don't listen to your whole song. That's very normal. Some people do, but not most of your listens. And it has to be that way. You would want to have a lot of listens from people who don't know your stuff or may not be into your stuff. Those are a lot of the people who have just a fraction of a listen. They came by and they're like, not for me, and they moved on. That's good. You want to have exposure. That means it's working. Probes agrees with Thomas and also me. I didn't say this directly. I kind of hinted at it, but the idea that an album, what is an album? A music album? An album has to have an overarching idea, even if it's not directly obvious to the listener. I totally agree. That's how I would define what an album is. An album is not just, here's 10 songs, here's 12 songs that have nothing to do with each other. That's not really an album. That's like, maybe you could call that a collection of songs. Maybe there's a fancier word for it than that. A compendium, maybe there's some other word for that. But it's not really an album. An album is like one long song, in a sense. In a sense. A modern day orchestra. Symphony is what I meant. Thomas says music is an abstract thing. It does a sort of magic. You have to feel it. It's impossible not to be felt. I don't know about that. You can have music that you don't feel. That's a thing. Especially like really intense experimental noise that, not good noise. You could have good noise, but in like bad sounding garbage. You don't necessarily feel that. I see there's a lot of discussion around that topic. That's cool. Thomas and Probes doing a lot of talk there, and I like that. Thomas says that he wants me being Recon, he wants me to read the Confucius Interviews, which is his favorite. Thomas says this may be the greatest book in the world. Confucius, huh? I don't know if I've read any Confucius. If I have, I certainly don't have any books. I don't have any Confucius books. Going to the topic of dogs. Probe says that dogs and cats are domestic and infantilized human creations. I am interested in hearing that topic, I don't get it really myself. But I know, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I just have a problem with it when it's impacting me. When it's impacting me negatively, that's when I have an issue. Trader of the Living says that I agree that some dogs can be annoying. Yep. Yes. I would like for that to be more openly acknowledged. If your dog is this like well-trained, civilized family member, I'm not going to have an issue. Oh, look, your dog is quiet and pretty much sits there and minds its own business. It only gets up when it has to get your attention because it's got to go outside. But otherwise, it pretty much just sits there. It might walk around. Maybe it'll go over there and, eat something because its bowl is over there. But then when it's done, it just kind of comes back and hangs out. It's not jumping all over the place. It's not barking and howling and everything. No, it's a civilized part of the family. That is fine. I personally have no problem with that. It's the jumping all over me, licking me, biting me. I've been bit before. Like blood, bit. I didn't get that's bad dog owner, Give me the rolled up newspaper. Bad dog owner. Bad dog owner. Bad. I almost wonder if there should be some kind of I don't even know, somehow being a bad dog owner needs to have accountability attached to it. Oh, a fine? Do you get a fine? If you just live out someplace where there aren't necessarily any laws against it, you could just have a mad loud dog and what? Nobody can stop you? That's not okay. If you're living by yourself in 40 acres, all right. But if you're 2 feet away from the other side of my yard, it's not okay. The whole point of human civilization is for, drum roll please, humans. Humans are the priority. You don't get to override my life just because you want a dog. That perspective has to go. It's not acceptable at all. If you want it to be part of human civilization, it has to be civilized. You have to be a good dog owner. You have to train it. That's the end of the story. Going to the Girl Scout cookies topic. Viral says they slinging. And Trader Living says, he's like, yeah, but those chocolate mint cookies though. Hey, I'm not gonna, argue if you like any of that stuff. I'm not arguing with that. I remember I used to get the peanut butter ones. I like peanut butter stuff in general. That should be on my list of topics, by the way. Food. That's always a popular topic. When we have a Tinker stream and we start talking about recipes and things, that's always a popular time. So food in general should be on my list also. But I like peanut butter stuff. Peanut butter cookie, peanut butter friggin' anything. Peanut butter on a spoon. Peanut butter in a stir fry. Probe says, can I get some Girl Scout cookies online? The answer is probably yeah. I imagine they would have that. They would be pretty silly not to do that. Unless they, I don't know, maybe they want to have some kind of specific, nope, it has to be the personal touch. Has to be, you know someone. And there is some value in that. But they would make way more loot they sell online. I'm sure they do. I am getting caught up still. I'm only 10 minutes behind right now. This is good. And as of about 10 minutes ago, I see that we are blessed by which is nice. Been a hot minute, person says. Person had been getting his looper situated. And last I heard, Person was ready to go, was ready to, launch into that. Been really busy, says Person and Probes. Or Probes, rather. Yeah, for real. Mad busy. There's just every day there's just more stuff. Oh, man. Oh, you know what I didn't do at all on this stream? Not even once? I didn't do anything on the synth. I didn't do anything at all on the synth. And I still didn't bring up the third topic. I said there were three things I wanted to bring up today. One of them was the whole DAW conversation that we had earlier. That happened in the first hour. The second thing was the idea of my list of topics, which we've talked about here in the second hour. And then the third thing I wanted to bring up, I've been meaning to suggest this. I recently found a page on social media that I think is especially good. I follow him on Instagram, but I assume he also does whatever, TikTok, and I don't know if he has a YouTube page. But on Instagram, his page is Reid Olson. ReidOlson. Reid Olson. His content is very high quality. He does these little skits where he kind of like talks to himself. He's this confused person having a difficult life experience, and then a different shot of him wearing different clothes where he's talking to himself like as the wiser sage, and he's like, well, let's think through this, and they step through crises and kind of take you through the whole thing from start to finish. You could be in that state of being lost and confused and anxious and frustrated and everything, and by the time you finish one of these guys' videos, you get to the point of, oh, I feel better now. I completely walked through it. It's very high quality. Very high quality. That's what I do with my songs, my lyrics. It's great to see this. I almost never see that. So again, his name's Reid Olson. Very high recommendation. Check him out. Now, friends, as I look over at my monitor over here, I see we're getting close to 2 hours. So with that, we're going to begin our descent. We're going to begin our descent, my friends. This has been a really great stream. I didn't even touch the synth. Oh, there you go. I actually meant not to touch the synth. But I accidentally touched the synth. I was going to put the case back on and everything. Here, I put the case back on and turn it off. I didn't play the synth at all. I accidentally touched one of the keys right there, but otherwise didn't play the synth at all. It's like, that's almost a first since I started playing it. In any case, my friends, we are going to celebrate at this time. We are on our descent. The stream is going to be wrapping up in the next few minutes. And while we are still here, friends, grab your drink. We are going to do the closing cheers. You are going to feel so togetherful. You are going to know that we are here doing this together. And man, what a good shared experience this is. I am doing this with you. The rest of us, we're all here doing this with you. Friends, the closing cheers is much faster. It goes really fast on 1, 2, and 3. Clink. Cheers, my friends. That's good. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Please share this video where it will be well received. Thank you for being here today. I hope to see you on the next live stream. My regulars know. We get together multiple times a week to do these looper hangouts. Also bringing in the synth, even though today we didn't do any synth. Loopers and synth stuff. Sometimes we talk, like we did on this stream today. That's called Tinker Time. Other times, it's totally silent, no talking at all, purely instrumental. That's called Unspoken. And who knows, there might be a new one coming on where I produce on my DAW. We'll see about that, though. We'll see if I can pull that off. At the top of the screen right now, we have the 2 scheduled streams per week. You can put these in your calendar. Eastern U.S. time zone, Sundays at 1 p.m., Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Those are scheduled every week. Put those in your calendar. My regulars know that we also do another few streams, usually another 2 or 3 streams each week. That could be any day, any time. Enable notifications now so that you can join us for those unscheduled streams. And until then, my friends, whenever it is that I see you again, until then, please have a very good rest of your day today. Please allow the rest of your day today to bring you all manner of goodness and blessing. Please allow the rest of your day today to introduce the possibility of healing that you always were told couldn't happen. Healing that you didn't believe you could experience. Please allow your day today to open the doors to new possibilities, new things that you can live and experience today. Please allow yourself to become receptive to all of the goodness and blessing that is within reach to you today. Please allow yourself to become receptive to all of the goodness and blessing that is within your perimeter today. Please allow yourself to become receptive to all of the goodness and blessings that are within your horizon today and beyond. Please allow yourself to become receptive. Please receive all of the goodness and blessings today. And I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.